The knock came at dawn, soft, then urgent. Jake Crow Feather opened his door to find Maria Santos from the workers' quarters, a girl he'd seen around the ranch but never spoken to. 17, dark hair braided down her back, eyes too worried for someone so young. In her arms, a 2-year-old girl in a pink dress. "I'm sorry to bother you," Maria said, hands shaking, "but I didn't know where else to go." Jake looked toward the workers' housing, expecting parents, emergency, some explanation for why his neighbor stood at his door holding a toddler at sunrise. "Everything okay? Your parents need help?" "That's the problem. They're gone." The little girl, Sophia, was wide awake, dark eyes curious about Jake's small house, a miniature version of Maria, serious and observant. Gone where? Just gone. Left before dawn. Took their truck, clothes, everything. Maria shifted Sophia with practiced ease. Left us sleepin' and disappeared. Jake felt something cold settle in his stomach. He'd grown up on ranches. Knew what it looked like when people decided life was too complicated to stick around for. "They'll come back." "No," Maria's voice was flat. "This isn't the first time my father's run. But Mom never left Sophia before." Jake stepped aside. "Come in." Maria hesitated, then entered his house. 1 bedroom, kitchen opening to living room, functional furniture. Sophia spotted Jake's coffee mug and reached for it with determined focus. Maria shifted her away automatically. "How long have you been watching her?" "Since she was born. Mama worked fields, Papa looked for better jobs. Someone had to care for Sophia." Jake knew the Santos family. Migrant workers, 3 seasons at Double R Ranch. Quiet, hard-working, kept to themselves. "Have you told Richardson?" "No, and I can't." Maria's voice sharpened. "You know what happens if immigration gets involved." Jake understood. Double R employed many undocumented workers. If Richardson learned Maria's parents had abandoned their children, there'd be calls to immigration, social workers, people who'd ask for papers. "What's your status?" "I was born in El Paso. Sophia in Roswell. We're citizens, but our parents—" She didn't finish. Sophia had found Jake's boots and was examining them scientifically. "She wants to be a cowgirl," Maria said, almost smiling. "Smart kid. She is. She loves horses, being outside. She deserves better than this. What's your plan?" Maria was quiet, smoothing Sophia's hair. "I have $300 saved. Sophia has what she needs for a few days, but I can't rent an apartment, and if I get official help, they'll want to know where your parents are. They'll put Sophia in foster care while they locate family. I might end up in the system too." Jake knew the foster system wasn't kind to kids like Maria and Sophia, whose families existed in society's margins. "Your brothers?" "Working construction in Colorado, barely supporting themselves, and they're not documented either." Sophia had climbed onto Jake's coffee table, standing triumphantly. Jake clapped automatically, making Sophia beam and clap too. "Look, I know this is crazy," Maria said quickly. "We barely know each other, but you seem decent. Not like some other guys here." "What exactly are you asking?" "Let us stay a few days, just until I figure out what's next. I'll pay you. Cook, clean, keep Sophia quiet. I just need somewhere safe." Sophia wandered to Jake and tugged his jeans, looking up with absolute trust. Without thinking, Jake picked her up. She immediately grabbed his shirt and settled against his chest. "She likes you," Maria said, tension leaving her voice. Jake looked at Sophia's serious dark eyes. She couldn't understand her world had just been turned upside down by people supposed to protect her forever. How long since they left? Found the note at 5 this morning, but their bed wasn't slept in, so probably after midnight. They could be anywhere by now. Texas, Arizona, disappeared into the anonymous world of migrant labor. The note said they couldn't handle it anymore. Taking care of Sophia, making money, worrying about getting caught. Said they had to think about survival. Sophia yawned against Jake's shoulder, adrenaline wearing off, settling into the warm safety of being held. One night, Jake heard himself saying, "You can stay one night, then we'll figure out what's next." Maria's relief was visible. "Thank you. We won't be any trouble." But Jake was thinking about Sophia's trusting weight, Maria's fierce protectiveness, how his house suddenly felt less empty. One night, he told himself, then it would be someone else's problem. Sophia fell asleep in his arms, and Jake tried to ignore the way something in his chest was already changing. Jake woke to coffee and pancakes. Maria was at his stove while Sophia played with measuring cups on the floor like they were fascinating toys. "Sorry," Maria said. "I wanted to make breakfast." Jake's kitchen was cleaner than when he'd gone to bed. Dishes done, counters wiped. Where did pancakes come from? Flour, eggs, milk, baking powder. You had everything. Sophia looked up and waved. "Hola, Jake." "She's been practicing your name," Maria smiled. "She decided you're important." They ate together, Sophia in Jake's desk chair tied with a towel, systematically destroying her pancake with scientific thoroughness. "I need to go to work," Jake said reluctantly. "We'll be fine. What time do you get back?" "Could be 5, could be 8. Jake thought about his day. Fence lines, horses, whatever crisis had developed. "Keep her quiet. Some guys come by, and if they see, I know. We'll stay inside. Stay quiet." Sophia threw pancake on the floor, then looked around to see if anyone noticed. Both adults laughed, making Sophia clap sticky hands in delight. "There's a back porch," Jake said. "Faces away from the main ranch. You could take her there. No one would see." Maria's relief was obvious. "Sophia loves being outside." Jake was almost out when he stopped. "Do you ride?" "A little. My father taught me before he decided it was too dangerous. Too much attention from bosses if workers' kids were around horses." Jake understood the invisible lines at ranches, between livestock workers and field hands, between main house and workers' quarters. "I'll be working horses today. If you bring Sophia to the corral around noon, she could watch, from a distance." "She would love that." Jake left instructions about first aid and the ranch office number, though he wasn't sure what good either would do. He spent morning working with a young gelding, losing himself in the familiar rhythm of horse training. But his attention drifted toward his house, wondering how Maria and Sophia were managing. Around noon, he spotted them on his back porch, Sophia playing with kitchen utensils while Maria read what looked like a GED study guide. They looked peaceful, like they belonged there. "Who's that?" Tom Rodriguez, another ranch hand, nodded toward Jake's house. "Family," Jake said without thinking. "Didn't know you had family visiting. Pretty girl. Baby's cute, too." "Yeah. Funny, they look like the Santos family. Workers who didn't show for shift this morning." Jake's hands stilled on the gelding's rope. "Really? Richardson's pissed. Says if they don't show by tomorrow, he's calling immigration. Can't have workers disappearing." Cold settled in Jake's stomach. If Richardson called immigration, it wouldn't take long for someone to connect Maria and Sophia to the missing workers. Maybe they had an emergency. Maybe. Happens with seasonal workers. Tom shrugged. Not our problem. Jake worked mechanically the rest of the day, mind racing. If immigration came tomorrow, Maria and Sophia would have to leave. But where? Maria had $300 and a toddler. That evening, he found them on the porch again, Sophia napping in Maria's arms while Maria watched sunset paint the mountains gold and purple. "How was your day?" Maria asked quietly. Jake sat beside them, noting Sophia's complete relaxation in her sister's arms. "We might have a problem." He told her about Tom's conversation. Maria processed this quietly, hand smoothing Sophia's hair. "How long do we have?" "Maybe until tomorrow afternoon. But probably not longer." Sophia stirred, waking slowly. When she saw Jake, she reached for him automatically, and he found himself taking her without thinking. "Jake," Sophia said solemnly. "That's right, Nina." Maria watched them with an unreadable expression. She's never taken to anyone this quickly. Usually she's shy with strangers. "Maybe I'm not a stranger anymore." "No, maybe you're not." They fell into comfortable routine, Maria cooking while Jake played with Sophia, teaching her to stack blocks. After dinner, they sat on the porch watching stars while Sophia explored Jake's bootlaces. "What's your long-term plan?" Jake asked. "I turn 18 in 4 months. Then I can legally be Sophia's guardian if our parents don't return. But until then, you're a minor caring for another minor." "Right. I've been thinking about my abuela in San Antonio. She might take us in, but I'd need money to get there and help support us." Sophia had climbed onto Jake's lap and was trying to take off his hat. He let her, watching her examine it with intense interest. "There might be another option," Jake said slowly. "What do you mean?" "I've been working this ranch 3 years, saving money, learning business. There's a small place 20 miles from here, just came on market. 40 acres, good water rights, big enough for cattle and horses. Jake, if you needed a legal address, someone willing to be officially responsible for Sophia until you turn 18. He shrugged casually. "Might be I could use help running a small ranch. Someone who knows how to cook, take care of things." Maria stared at him. "You're talking about becoming Sophia's legal guardian." "I'm talking about keeping you two together until you're old enough to make your own decisions. We've known each other 2 days. Sometimes 2 days is enough to know what's right." Sophia yawned against his chest, completely comfortable, completely trusting. "You don't know what you're offering," Maria said quietly. "Maybe not, but I know what happens to kids in the system, and Sophia deserves better." They sat, watching desert stars appear. Sophia fell asleep in Jake's arms, and he thought this felt right. This small, unexpected family, this moment of peace under the endless New Mexico sky. Tomorrow would bring challenges, but tonight, for the first time in years, Jake's house felt like home. Jake was mending fence when he saw the white SUV with government plates. He'd been expecting it, had seen Richardson's truck head into town earlier. Immigration and customs enforcement. ICE. He walked toward his house slowly, trying to look casual, while his heart raced, thinking about Maria and Sophia hidden inside. 2 agents got out, a man and woman with serious expressions and badges that could change lives. Jake recognized the type. Federal employees who saw migrant workers as problems, not people. "Jake Crowfeather?" The woman checked her notepad. "We need to ask about the Santos family." "Don't know any Santos family," Jake said, leaning against his fence post. workers in seasonal housing. Miguel and Carmen Santos, plus 2 daughters. They missed shifts yesterday and today. Jake shrugged. A lot of people come and go. I work with horses, not field hands. You haven't seen 2 young women? One about 17, one about 2? Every instinct screamed at Jake to be careful, give away nothing that could hurt the people he was protecting. Like I said, I work with livestock. Don't pay attention to who's living in workers' quarters. The female agent studied him carefully. Mr. Crowfeather, we have information suggesting the Santos parents abandoned their minor children. If you know anything about their whereabouts, you're legally obligated to share that information. Jake's jaw tightened. Ma'am, you asking if I've seen some kids around a ranch where dozens of families live isn't exactly criminal activity. The agents exchanged glances. The man handed Jake a business card. If you see or hear anything about these children, call immediately. Abandoned minors are in danger. Jake took the card without looking. Sure thing. They drove toward the main house to interview Richardson and check workers' quarters. Jake waited until they disappeared, then hurried to his house. Maria was pressed against the window, watching through curtain gaps. Sophia napped on the couch, oblivious to the tension. They're looking for us, Maria said. Yeah. Asked about 2 young women, described you both accurately. What did you tell them? That I work with horses, don't pay attention to workers' quarters. They'll be back. Probably. Next time with more specific information. Maria sank into a chair, suddenly looking much younger than 17. So what do? We leave. Tonight. Leave for where? That ranch I mentioned. 40 acres, 20 miles from here. I called the owner this morning. Cash sale, could close within a week. Jake, you can't buy a ranch because we need somewhere to hide. I'm not buying it for you. I've been planning this for months. Timing just works out. Sophia stirred, making waking up sounds. Maria moved to comfort her while Jake watched their easy interaction. 17 years old, but clearly Sophia's primary caregiver. Sophia won't understand another move, Maria said quietly. Kids adapt when they're with people who love them. Sophia opened her eyes and immediately looked for Jake, face breaking into a smile. She held up her arms, and Jake took her without thinking. Jake, Sophia said seriously, then launched into mixed Spanish and English. She's telling you about her dream, Maria translated. Horses and cookies. Sounds like a good dream, Sophia nodded emphatically, settling against Jake's chest like she belonged there. If we leave tonight, what about your job? Your life? Jake thought about the double R. Small house, routine of working someone else's horses, careful distance from everyone. Good life, predictable and safe, but never home. Maybe it's time for a change. They spent afternoon planning. Jake arranged cash withdrawal for the ranch down payment. Maria packed their few belongings plus supplies for a toddler. Sophia sensed tension and became clingy, fussing when put down. Maria tried to entertain her, but the little girl knew something was changing. She always gets like this when we move, Maria explained, bouncing Sophia while she whimpered. Too young to understand, but she knows when her world's about to change. Jake remembered his own childhood, never knowing how long you'd stay anywhere. Maybe this time will be different. Maybe this time she won't have to move again. You can't promise that. No, but I can try. As sunset approached, Jake loaded his truck with everything they'd need. Clothes, Sophia's toys, basic supplies, everything that mattered fit in a pickup bed. "Ready?" he asked, though Maria's expression showed she'd never be ready. Sophia had fallen asleep in Maria's arms, exhausted from sensing adult anxiety without understanding it. She looked peaceful, trusting, unaware her life was changing again. "Jake," Maria said as they prepared to leave, "why are you doing this? Really?" Jake looked at Sophia sleeping against her sister's shoulder, at Maria's fierce protectiveness, at the makeshift family they'd become. "Because everyone deserves someone who won't leave," he said simply. They drove into desert darkness with nothing but each other and the promise of 40 acres that might become home. 6 months later, Jake watched Sophia chase chickens around the yard with determined focus, believing she could catch one if she just tried hard enough. The chickens seemed to enjoy the game. "She's going to tire herself out," Maria said, joining him on the porch with coffee. "Good. Maybe she'll nap." "She gave up naps last month, remember?" Jake accepted the coffee, thinking how much had changed since they'd driven away from Double R Ranch. The 40 acres needed more work than advertised. Water pump replacement, barn roof repair, fence holes everywhere. But it was theirs now, and every repair felt like building something permanent. "The social worker called this morning," Maria said, settling beside him. "Good news or bad news?" "Good news. The guardianship hearing is next month, and Ms. Patterson thinks it'll be straightforward. The home study report was overwhelmingly positive." Jake nodded, though he still felt nervous about facing a judge. Despite months of positive reports, he worried some bureaucrat would decide a single Apache man and Hispanic teenage girl weren't suitable for Sophia. "Any word from your brothers?" "Miguel called last night. He and Carlos found steady work in Denver. They want to visit once a guardianship is finalized, meet the man taking care of their baby sister." Sophia had given up on chickens and was examining a stick, testing its suitability for important toddler purposes. At 2.5, she walked everywhere, talked in mixed English and Spanish sentences, and displayed fearless curiosity about everything. "She's grown," Jake observed. 6 inches since we got here. She needs new clothes again." Maria's voice carried budget worries, but also pride. "She's healthy, happy. Dr. Martinez says she's developing perfectly." They'd found Dr. Martinez in nearby Cimarron, a family physician who spoke Spanish and didn't ask too many questions about immigration or guardianship. Sophia had been behind on vaccinations when they arrived, but was caught up now. "South pasture fence is finished," Jake said. "I'm thinking about getting cattle next month, maybe goats for Sophia. She'd love goats. She keeps asking about horses." "When she understands horses aren't big dogs." "So never?" "Probably never." Sophia spotted them and ran over with her stick held high like a flag. She climbed the steps carefully, then presented her stick to Jake for inspection. "Muy bueno," Jake said seriously, examining it from all angles. "This is a very good stick." Sophia beamed and ran off to find more sticks meeting Jake's standards. "GED results came yesterday," Maria said quietly. "And I passed all subjects." Maria's smile rivaled the New Mexico sun. "I can start community college in the fall." "Maria, that's incredible. I can contribute more to the ranch, take business classes, learn ranch management, handle the books." Jake thought about partnership, building something together rather than just surviving. Most of his life, he'd focused on getting by day to day. Planning for the future with other people still felt foreign. "I've been thinking about something," he said. "What?" "Legally, once guardianship is finalized, Sophia will be my responsibility until 18. But you'll be 18 in 2 months." Yeah, Maria's voice was carefully neutral, which means you'll be an adult, free to make decisions about where to live, what to do with your life. Sophia had found another stick and was trying to carry both sticks plus a rock. The logistics were challenging, but she approached the problem scientifically. Are you asking me to leave? Maria's voice was quiet, but Jake caught the tension. No, I'm asking you to stay. Officially. I'm asking if you want to be Sophia's legal co-guardian, partners in raising her, partners in running this place. Maria stared at him. You want us to be a family. All three of us, officially and legally. Not because we have to be, but because we choose to be. Sophia had solved her carrying problem by putting the rock in her mouth to free her hands. She deposited everything at Jake's feet, then climbed onto Maria's lap with satisfaction. ¿Qué piensas, mi amor? Maria asked Sophia. Should we stay here with Jake forever? Sophia considered this seriously, then nodded emphatically. Sí. Jake is bueno. Jake is very bueno, Maria agreed, eyes bright with tears. Yes, I want to stay. I want us to be a family. That evening, they sat watching sunset paint the mountains gold and purple. Sophia slept in Jake's arms, worn out from stick gathering and chicken chasing. Maria sat beside them, hand resting on Sophia's back, all three connected in quiet peace. Do you think our parents will ever come back? Maria asked. Jake thought about people who'd chosen to leave rather than fight for their children. Maybe, but if they do, they'll find Sophia with people who chose to stay. And if they don't, then Sophia will grow up knowing she was wanted. By you, by me, by anyone else who becomes part of this family. She'll know love isn't just about blood, it's about showing up, day after day, even when it's hard. A coyote called in the distance, and Maria moved closer on the porch swing Jake had built last month. Sophia stirred but didn't wake, secure in knowing the people holding her weren't going anywhere. Jake? Yeah? Thank you for giving us a home. Jake looked over the 40 acres they were slowly making work, repaired fences, Maria's vegetable garden, the chicken coop he'd built with Sophia's help, the life they were creating one day at a time. Thank you for letting me be part of it. Above them, New Mexico stars appeared one by one in the clear desert sky, watching over a small family that had chosen each other and decided to stay. Sophia slept peacefully, dreaming of horses and chickens and endless possibilities that came with being loved unconditionally. Jake found himself thinking this was what home felt like. Not a place you were born into, but a place you built with the people who mattered most.